So it's been a while since I did a review on any of my running gear, but about 2 months ago I got the Apple Watch Ultra, and I wanted to give my 2 cents on the Apple Watch Ultra since, I watched dozens of videos reviewing the Apple Watch, and none of them spoke to it the way that I kind of wanted to hear someone talk about it. They all went over like the technical side of things, like the features and battery life, and that won't be this video. This is my take as a person that has used this watch that has no affiliation with Apple. I'm not being paid to make this. I have literally no incentive to talk about this other than to give my honest opinion that is hopefully unbiased. And so that's the purpose of this video, is to give a real life review, not about the technical side of things, not about not an in-depth dive into the features, but more of like what it's like to own this watch as an ultra runner and just an average everyday person. Just as a little backstory, I wanted to tell you that I worked for Suunto for 2.5 years, and so I owned pretty much every watch that Suunto made before I got hired and while I was there. So that included, the Suunto 5, the Suunto 7, the Suunto 9, the Suunto Spartan, Spartan Sport, a bunch of different watches. And I only tell you that to show you that I'm very well acquainted with running watches. And before I worked for Suunto, I owned a few Garmin watches. But after I left Suunto and got a new job, about a year later, I ended up buying an Apple Watch. And I'll kind of get into why, but I bought the Apple Watch Series 7 in 2021. And after I bought the Apple Watch Series 7, I went and did a 27-mile run with my sister. And it performed quite well, honestly. I remember the battery lasted perfectly fine, and I was out for, I think it was, 5 or 6 hours, because it was a gnarly course.
20.5 miles, 4 hours and 15 minutes into this run. You can see there. And battery life, we are at 69%. That is super impressive.
I just remember thinking that the Apple Watch performed very, very well compared to, some of my other watches. And I actually ran with the Suunto 9 in my vest in case the Apple Watch died, because I didn't want to lose tracking on my run. But it ended out working out perfectly, and the Suunto 9 actually got paused somehow while it was in my pack when I was getting a drink or something. So the Apple Watch ended up being the only way that I tracked that day, tracked the course that day. But despite the Series 7 Apple Watch performing pretty well on that run, there were still in my opinion, two major problems with the Series 7. One being durability, and the other being the aesthetics. First off, the aesthetics, it's not an ugly watch. It just wasn't me. It wasn't my style. And I just loved the clout that came with wearing a Suunto 9. The Suunto 9 was big, it was bulky, it was serious. You wouldn't wear that massive thing on your wrist if you weren't a serious, adventurer, runner, hiker, skier, whatever. You were serious about your sport, and it showed through you wearing that watch. The second problem I want to talk about, and in my opinion the biggest problem with the Apple Watch, was the durability. The durability of the 7 was complete garbage. Within 48 hours of owning that watch, I walked past the island, the countertop island in our kitchen, and I hit my Apple Watch on the corner of the granite countertop and left a huge gash in it. And that was within 48 hours of owning the watch. And so from then on, I was terrified to scratch it, and so I ended up buying screen protectors, and the screen protectors would, they would kind of get scratched a little bit and they would start to peel off, and so I would put a new screen protector on it every month or so. and that was just obnoxious. I know this review isn't about the Series 7, but I wanted to give that as a backstory leading into the Apple Watch Ultra. Both the experience working for Suunto, owning Suunto watches and Garmin watches, but also owning the Apple Watch Series 7. Here's the bottom line. I absolutely love this watch. I do feel kind of like a sucker sometimes when I'm wearing it, because I mean it's the latest and greatest that Apple's put out, but I have absolutely fallen in love with this watch, and it does everything that I want it to, and it definitely resolved my two biggest issues with the Series 7. This thing is durable. I have hit it very hard on the same countertop that scratched the Series 7, and I've been framing my basement, and I haven't taken it off at all to frame my basement, and I've hit it multiple times, and I just don't worry about it. That durability is what I wanted from my first Apple Watch, and Apple finally delivered on this one. And as far as aesthetics, like it looks better. I don't absolutely love it. I still think that there are sports watches out there that do a significantly better job on style and looks. I'm not a huge fan of the square, but it looks better. It looks more rugged. It looks more sporty, which is what I wanted. I think this watch looks good when you dress it up. You can dress it down. Like I have some leather straps that I throw on there, and with the leather, like I could wear it with a suit and get away with it. And then it obviously looks great with a silicone band. At the end of the day though, this watch suits my life. The Suunto 9 and some of the Coros watches and the Garmin watches, those do sports extremely well. They go above and beyond what 99.9% of the population would ever need. Like I run for 5% of my day, and it did that part of my day extremely well, but the rest of the day it kind of sucked wearing those watches. Like they didn't do what I would really like a watch to do, and that's ultimately why I bought this Series 7, was because I wanted to cater to 95% of my life rather than 5% of my life. And that's what's so great. That's why I love the Apple Watch Ultra so much, is because it doesn't leave me wanting in any way. It does 95% of my day extremely well, and it does the 5% sports part of my day running more than adequate. I have not looked at the data and wished I had more data. I have not looked at the battery life and wished I had more battery. It's just, it does everything exactly how I want it to, even though some of the sports watches have more features. Those aren't features that I want or need. I didn't want this video to cover, every single problem that people have with the Apple Watch. Like you can figure that out on your own, or by watching one of the other thousands of YouTube videos out there about that. But I wanted to talk about battery life because that seems to come up on every video. But here's the thing, is like I usually get 2 days of battery life out of the watch. So every other day I charge it at night for about an hour 15, and then I put it on and I get sleep tracking through the night. I run in the morning for somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour and a half, and then I use it all day, and then I sleep with it that night, and then I run again the next morning, and then all day. And at the end of that second day, I still usually have around 15% of my battery. And then once again, I just put it on the charger for an hour, and then I wear it again to sleep. So it literally does not inconvenience my life at all. And so I have no complaints with battery life. I will say there is one thing that bothers me, but it's obviously not a deal breaker because I still love this watch. And it only bothers me in the winter, and that's that you have to use the touchscreen to navigate the watch. This watch, you have to use the touchscreen at some point, and when you're wearing gloves and you have long sleeves on, it just gets obnoxious. And before, with the Suunto 9, like I knew the buttons I had to press in order to pause it, in order to stop it, in order to save the workout, everything. So I didn't even really have to see the watch. I could do it through my long sleeve. But with this, I have to pull up my long sleeve shirt and try and navigate with the touch screen. And with gloves, oftentimes the swipe will work, but then the tap won't work very well. It's just a little annoying, but once again, it's not a deal breaker for me. It's just something that I wish they would think about when they incorporate buttons. So in summary, if you want an extreme sports watch that isn't a great smartwatch, then you need to look at Coros or Suunto or Garmin or, you know, any of the other sports watch brands out there. But if you want a smartwatch that does sports extremely well, then this is the watch for you. I will say that I am privileged in the sense that I worked for Suunto and I own a Suunto 9, that for any ultra races that I do, I will have that watch. I'm interested to see how the Apple Watch Ultra will hold up in a 50-mile race or a 100-mile race. Not that I'm going to do 100 anytime soon, but if you're anything like me, just another runner out there enjoying the outdoors and doing an occasional race, this watch will more than suffice for what you need.